Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy. Hello, pastors. This week on the Film vs. Film podcast, as a humongous movie is coming out in our cinema screens around the world. And I mean huge because we are talking dinosaurs. Yes, that film is Jurassic World Dominion. And of course, you may have guessed already, we are going to be talking about dinosaur films. And we have a guest this week, which is amazing. All the way from Australia. I won't do the accent so you won't be offended. I do like an accent, but from the Anorak Oasis pod, we have Killian. How are you?
Good, thanks, guys. How are you?
I'm very well. It's lovely to have you on.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Cool. And also we, of course, have our resident bit of dinosaur food, Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
G'day, mate. Yeah, I'm good. I made no such promise. So.
Oh my gosh.
I'll do the whole thing in an Australian accent.
All right.
I grew up in the UK, so you're not really offended.
Oh, really?
So it's all right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, whereabouts from?
Our house was in Kensington, but I went to boarding school in Canterbury.
Nice.
Oh, right, okay. So, Killian, tell us a little bit about your podcast and what else you do online.
My podcast is the brainchild of me just being obsessed with movies and wanting to talk about movies but some other stuff. I'm a massive gamer, so
nice.
I want to talk about gaming and also like climate change and that sort of thing because I'm a bit of an environmentalist and I think it's quite important.
Nice. Well, we've only got one planet.
I'm an Egyptologist, so I want to share my knowledge of history and whatnot with people too, because I think it deserves a lot more love than it gets.
Yeah. Just curious, what do you make of Moon Knight then? Was that good for you?
I really loved Moon Knight. Yeah, yes. I really loved it. I had to sort of take a step back and be like, okay, this is what they've taken as inspiration from ancient Egypt, and this is the factual stuff. There's a lot more made up than not, but I really loved Moon Knight. I think it's my favorite show outside of WandaVision, I think.
Yeah, WandaVision's definitely still number one for me.
Yeah.
Right, let's get straight into it then, people. Killian, what is your choice for dinosaur films?
My choice is Dinosaur, Disney's Dinosaur from the year 2000. It's a CGI cartoon, I guess.
Yeah. So why did you pick this one then?
I picked Dinosaur because I think it's the most realistic cartoon dinosaur movie that's still friendly, but a little bit scary for kids, I think, still.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those dinosaur cartoons where it's like adults can still watch it without feeling like they're 10. And I love it. I just love it.
So what happens in Dinosaur then?
In Dinosaur, there is a dinosaur called Aladar. And he's in his nest as an egg. He's a baby. And it gets stepped on. And all the other ones die. And he goes on, like, other dinosaurs try to eat him when he's an egg and stuff. And he ends up falling in the ocean. And a bunch of lemurs find him on this tropical island. And he gets adopted by lemurs.
Did they like to move it?
I'm not sure they're those kind of lemurs.
Be an interesting crossover.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, they should do it.
They should. Yeah. And grows up being like a lemur because there's no other dinosaurs on this island. And he's got his little crazy dinosaur family, lemur family. And the asteroids come and destroy the island and all their family. So they have to go find other people and just try and survive. And they catch up with this herd of multi-dinosaurs trying to find the nesting grounds, and the leader is a bit of a dick.
Kron.
Kron the leader, and doesn't really like outsiders because he's the boss. And Aladar doesn't know how to be a dinosaur because he's never been around other dinosaurs before. So he's trying to figure everything out.
Wants to be a lemur.
Yeah. Don't know how that would work finding a girlfriend, but and yeah, they go on this adventure, and they've got carnivores chasing the herd, trying to get to the nesting grounds. And he's got friends that are like this old one. I think she's a giraffe titan or something like that. I think she is. Her name's Baleen, and then there's another old cranky little. It's like a triceratops, but not. I can't think of what it's called. Named Ema, and then an ankylosaurus that's basically like their pet. Dinosaurs have pet dinosaurs.
It's like a dog.
It's basically a dog. It's got dog noises in this one.
Yeah. Like gets sticks and stuff. It's very strange. And yeah, and because they're slow, Kron doesn't like them. And yeah, they just go trying to get to the nesting grounds, being chased by carnivores, and falls in love with the leader's sister for some dramatic tension. And yeah, in the end, Kron dies because he doesn't listen to Aladar. They find the nesting grounds and have babies and find more lemurs, so everyone's happy. That's basically it.
So what did you make of this one then?
I thought for the time, the CGI, like that sort of 3D cartoon, I think was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. You know, that wasn't really being done in the year 2000 in that sort of quality. The fact that they had all like different dinosaurs, like it wasn't just like one kind of dinosaur. It was like just to get to see all the cool ones and the big bad ones and the scary ones.
I do remember this, actually. I remember the trailers when I was younger. So that brought back memories. I think I did watch this in the cinema. But yeah, no, I completely agree. It was very revolutionary for its time. And a lot of the backgrounds look real. Like, I'm not sure if they shot on location and then put the CGI on them, because a lot of the backgrounds just look photorealistic.
Yeah.
You know, that said, like, some of it is good, and I think I kind of had to get into it a little more because I could tell some of the CGI was, like, of its time. You're like, you know, it's pretty good, but, you know, I've seen better. Obviously,
it's dated. It's dated.
You can say it.
We've had 20 years to sort of progress, but yeah, I remember this at the time. I thought it looked real at the time, and then you see it now, and you're like, it's not quite, but you know, still pretty good. But yeah, no, I did enjoy it. You know, I thought it was an interesting story. I think one of my bigger concerns, but I think this is just a case of probably how expensive and how ambitious it was. Just how short it was. Like, I didn't realize it was like, you know, it's only like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like, it's not very long. So I felt like it could have used maybe a little extra time. There are some really good visuals in there, though.
I really enjoyed it, actually. Kind of more of the story stuff. Like, I know it's very like classic Disney stories, but a lot of, you know, the emotional beats that they go through are very tried and tested, but they really work. And I definitely liked a lot of that. Yes, the CGI is dated, and the decision to use like real locations is a really interesting one as an experiment. And I can see why they don't really go down that route anymore. You know, technology's moved on a lot, but it's interesting to talk about. So directing then, let's talk straight in about the decision to shoot like the real environments. You know, they shot real environments and created like animated characters. It does feel very jarring at times, and we're not used to seeing these type of animated films today. Yes, it's very much a product of its time, and they probably didn't have the computing power to create digital environments this detailed, but I also like this particular look and aesthetic. It's very deliberate to rival the likes of Pixar at the time, because at the time Disney didn't own Pixar. The lemur scene swinging about up against the real pink skies did look, well, I thought it was real anyway. It did look pretty beautiful, and it definitely looked better in the desert scenes as the film goes on, you know. So
and I think especially when like they're interacting with stuff, and you're like, you know, okay, this is pretty good. I just kind of wonder how they did that. You know, they're pushing boulders and making imprints. How did they do that? because the backgrounds do look very real. There are some bits where I do agree it is kind of jarring because you're like, because the background is so real because it's real.
Yeah.
That it does make them stand out a bit more. You're like, they're clearly CGI. And I just think if maybe the background was the same quality CGI, I wouldn't notice.
Yeah, that's fair.
So sometimes I got that. I think more especially actually in scenes where there's like a lot more happening. I think the desert stuff was a lot, a lot more forgiving. But I think like at the beginning where there's a lot more foliage and stuff, you can sort of tell.
As you're watching it, you kind of get used to it a bit. Your eye gets used to it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I think probably I was only having like where I was like, oh, I thought this looked better in my memory for maybe the first 15, 20 minutes. And then I think I eased into it.
Yeah, no, I think the desert scenes are a lot. I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Like more forgiving. It's a more forgiving, real environment to film.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And there are certain bits like, especially like when they make holes in the sand, the whole digging thing.
Yeah, with the water. Yeah.
I'm like, man, how the hell did they do that? What is actually...
Yeah, what's happening? How did they do that?
Real and made up there. Yeah, exactly. How did they do that? Did they actually have a construction team? So that I thought was tremendously well done.
I feel like there are some like model like sets and things at times.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
But do you think it's kind of like quite deliberate, a choice in terms of like trying to rival Pixar because they had so much success with like the Toy Story films and Bug's Life? Because it's a very different look, isn't it?
Yeah. Bug's Life was the most realistic looking Pixar movie at the time, I think.
Yeah.
For me, because, it was on a smaller scale because they're ants and stuff. So it was easier to make it look real, I suppose. Yeah. But I don't know if they were intentionally trying to rival it or if they were just trying to be Disney and try and make up something new that people would fall in love with.
Yeah, but I definitely think it's got a different sort of vibe. I would say I'd more compare it, even though it's like many, many years down the line, but, when they did the remake of The Lion King and The Jungle Book and stuff.
I hated that. I was just like, this is bad. The remake, not the original.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Lion King remake. It doesn't exist.
But like a move to sort of, more real, trying to be like very realistic and anatomically correct rather than more animated sort of designs.
The shots of the meteor coming down before it strikes are really beautifully done with all the little meteors. But after it strikes, all the effects are very weird and confused for me, and I'm not sure what they were going for. It felt like like a multiverse of planets exploding together at the same time. You had like traditional live action effects, visual effects. You had like real rocks going everywhere, a fireworks display, the approaching cloud displaying every version of color orange you can have. It felt like the filmmakers just chucked everything at it and somehow mashed it together. But it didn't distract from the emotions of when the characters are looking back on all the destruction. So the emotional stuff worked, but I thought it was just a bit like tonally all over the shop.
A bit much, yeah. I did quite like the initial meteorite going through the clouds and how it's the clouds are sort of blocking the light, so it's like light, clouded, light, clouded, light, clouded, and then it hits and there's like a nuclear explosion. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that bit. That's cool.
Yeah, as it's coming down, I like that.
It's an explosion. Explosions are cool. Yeah. You can't mess up an explosion.
Yeah, but when you add fireworks to it, it looks weird.
Yeah, but it's beautiful and hectic. There's all different emotions. You're happy because there's fireworks. You're sad because everyone's dying. It's all the emotions at once. It's aimed at children, confuse them.
Yeah, I guess so. There's some really like nice silvery blues at times, like in the cave fight especially. The fight itself wasn't amazing, but it did show up the limitations of the animation at the time. But just the way the cave scenes looked, I really enjoyed that. Definitely some of the best looking scenes, as well as like the desert stuff. Those two kind of masked, if you will, and camouflaged the animation with the environments a bit more than a lot of the other scenes. I actually really enjoyed the choreography of the fights between the different dinosaurs at the end. Like the one between Alatar and Kron felt very aggressive and emotional. while the fight with the Carnotaurs felt a tad scary, I know it's essentially headbutts, shoves, and tail whips. That's all they can do, really. Well, biting, but you can't do too much of that in a Disney film.
No.
But somehow they kind of make it work. And I think what works so well in this film is the sound design with all the different roars, and feet stomping, all the different rock sounds on the cliffs. The sound effects felt really big and powerful, which helped it a lot near the end for me. I think the sound definitely is one of the most impressive parts about this film.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Foley artists really went above and beyond the effects, especially when they're digging and with the water comes out.
Yeah.
In the desert. I think the sound of that is really realistic, and I remember being very impressed with that bit.
Yeah.
I do get the sense the sound is doing a lot of the heavy lifting and helping the effects a lot to make them feel better, when you watch them.
Yeah. But that's not a bad thing. It's not bad. Good sound is good.
Yeah. Because they always say, like, with amateur filmmaking, like, make sure your sound is good, If anything can be good, make it the sound,
Yeah, because if the footage is crap, that's okay. People can live with that. But if your sound is grainy, no one wants that.
Yeah. Not that we're comparing this film to an amateur film, but,
No, we're not spending a few $1 million film compared to an amateur film. Absolutely not. Disney, please don't come for us.
Mickey Mouse is behind you right now with an AK-47.
Favorite shots or scenes, people? What are we going for?
My favorite shot is when baby Aladar in the egg, and the light comes behind him, and you see the baby dinosaur through the shell. I think that's cool. That one, and when the Carnotaur goes through the water into sniffing into the cave, and the water comes over him, and the lightning flashes. I thought, as a child, I was terrified. But I think that was pretty cool too. Because you can see the shadow on the cave wall as well, which is pretty cool.
I think there are 3 shots I really, really liked. So one was, I think, the Velociraptor close-up thing. I quite like that. I thought that was really awesome. The meteorite going through the clouds. I think I've mentioned that many, many times. I just really like that. Of just, bright as hell, dim, bright, dim, bright. It was pretty amazing. I'm not seeing something like that. Then also, because I think it was kind of an emotional moment where they push through the wall, the mountain in the cave, and then that opens up into a bright, colourful landscape, and they walk through. I thought that was pretty cool as well. Or even the egg cracking open. Where you're saying you see the little baby. I like when it does it from the first person, especially at the end.
Yeah, that's really cool too. Yeah,
where you see the lemur. I think that was pretty awesome. So any of those shots really, but I think I would give it to the meteorite.
Just going down though,
yeah, just going down. Yeah.
Nothing after that.
Well, the rest of it was cool too, but that visual is something I've seen explosions, but I've never seen something travel like that. And so that's always going to stick in my head.
Yeah, it's not a shot you see.
It's not a shot you see. Yeah.
It's not a shot that people do. Yeah.
My favourite is, I quite like the scene where Aladar and family get chased by the raptors, then immediately we go into a sandstorm scene where it actually looks really great because the sandstorm is masking the environments a bit, so it looks visually a bit more balanced. And then the introduction to the big Diplodocus, I think the massive dinosaur, was cool because it felt really big, and again, the sound just made it feel massive. I think that was my favorite shot. I think the reveal of that huge dinosaur. Boaz, score for directing. What are we going for Dinosaur?
What do you reckon? 7.5?
7.2?
3?
I don't know, man.
You're gonna over 1 point.
I don't.
Come on, 7.3.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. That was Boaz's score. Killian, what are you going for directing score? You may use decimals.
I will go 7.5.
Okay.
You really are unbelievable. Over 1 decimal point,
But it's
it's that 1 point though.
Yeah. You'd kill for that 0.1.
If you're at a film festival, it counts.
Yeah, man. Come on. Right. Screenplay then. I think actually one of the most disappointing things about this film is the fact that the two Carnotaurs that are chasing the main group of characters, they don't have voices. There's no character to them at all, and I thought they could have had some real fun with those characters, them having some great witty evil banter, But I understand why, because I feel like the film wants to keep Kron, the herd's leader, the main antagonist. I guess you don't want to complicate things in a Disney film like this, but I felt like it was a slight missed opportunity there for me. How about you guys?
I never actually sort of had that problem. That never really came into my mind. I guess maybe because I'm thinking, they're just meant to be like forces of nature and, intend to be scary. I think if you kind of start giving them personality, they're a little less mysterious and dangerous. But, I agree, you could make an interesting threat, with a really cool voice, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm kind of reminded of going back to, The Land Before Time, the T-Rex did not have a voice and he's scary as shit. I don't think the Carnotaurs are as scary as that, but I don't think they kind of require a voice. I do think you're right that the Kron is meant to be the main villain. I kind of wish he was more of a dick, So so I think that was the one thing, because through most of it, you're like, yeah, he's a slight dick, but I can see where he's coming from. I mean, come on, if they stop, they're going to die. He's not being completely unreasonable here, And
that's the adult in you watching it.
Yeah. So I'm like, come on, he is kind of sensible. But, he gets the shit kicked out of him at the end and then kind of becomes a good guy. I think maybe they could have made him more of a cock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
How about you, Killian? Did you want voices with the Carnotaurs or not?
No, I think I have to go with Boaz. I don't think it was... I don't think they needed it. I think it would have been cool. It could have been really cool, but I do think because Kron was such a dick, they didn't have to. Because
yeah.
I mean, when you're a kid, you're watching it, it's like, oh, she just wants to be with Aladar and her big brother's an asshole, and I think that's enough. And oh no, not the big scary dinosaur's going to eat everybody. No.
Yeah. I think it's just difficult to watch when all the other characters have voices, most of them, and then the two Carnotaurs don't, and it's just and they're in it quite a lot, and it's why can't they have a little bit of, they can just be objectively evil, objectively bad, whereas Aladar has a bit of that he has a little bit of a point where I just found they could have made them straight evil but make them a little bit funny as well, stupid.
I feel like that's a real T-Rex stereotype, though, is the big stupid evil thing,
I don't know. I just feel like you'd sort of deflate any sort of fear from them if you humanize them too much. So I don't really have a problem with that. The fact that they just show up out of nowhere and they're not reasonable. They don't have sense or whatever.
They just want to eat.
They just want to kill things. Yeah, they want to eat and kill things.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a problem with that. I think in my mind, I'm going to have to disagree with you, but I think if they gave them voices, I think they would have ruined it for me. I think would have been okay.
But I'm just thinking of the other classic Disney, Lion King. Obviously, Scar is the main villain, but you have the hyenas who are, kind of objectively evil as well and kind of stupid, and you have a lot of great witty banter between them. And I feel like you could have had some there, but anyway.
I think maybe with the feel of the movie, it just wouldn't have fit right, giving them voices, because it wasn't like that kind of movie. It wasn't it wasn't as lighthearted as a normal Disney movie, so it might have felt a bit weird to have just two silly evil characters.
Yeah,
I think tonally it definitely works out as it is, but
we just want cool evil voices.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a case of I don't really think the Carnotaurs should have a personality, or the Velociraptors. I think it was fine as is, but I do think they're meant to be stand-ins for forces of nature, and I think if you wanted a more fun dynamic and antagonist, you're not going to get it from that. I think you'd need to make Kron a little badder, a little more irredeemable, and then that could fill in that, And I think there are plenty of movies where, even the Jurassic Park ones, where there is a flat-out villain, like we're going to talk about The Lost World. There is a bad guy who talks. He's a piece of shit. But you know what I mean? He's the substitute. He's the guy that the good guys talk to. But he isn't the main threat. And it's good when he dies. You're yeah. And there's plenty of films like that. There's oh, what was it? There was that one on the mountain with Chris O'Donnell as well. You know, the mountain can't speak, and but there is a bad guy, there is an asshole, that you can root against. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of films like that. You do have an outright villain, but he isn't like the thing. He's not the main. He's not the main obstacle. He's not like the main threat. But it feels good when he dies or whatever.
It's someone, they give you someone to hate.
Yeah, they give you someone to hate. And I just feel like with Kron, you can kind of be, he's a bit of a dick, but I didn't hate Kron. I kind of wish they made him that he was more hateable, so and they could even kill him off at the end. Actually, have you ever watched that film Balto? It was yeah.
Oh,
No.
So
I love.
So
Balto.
you remember that? Oh my god, I hated that other sled dog. My god,
Steel,
I wanted to tear him to pieces. He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm a dog person. I am a dog person.
Yeah.
If a dog dies in a movie, I'm a wreck. I wanted him to die.
I would have ran him over again and again and again.
Jesus Christ.
No animals were harmed in the making of this podcast.
He's not the main issue in that film, right? It's the environment.
No, he's
it's
not.
this woman needs a cure, this lady needs a cure, this little girl. And, it's the environment, it's the mountain, what have you, and it's bears and all this other shit. But he is such an arrogant wanker, he's got to be the one that wins. That you're even though he's a rival, you're like, man, I hate this guy. And maybe they could have made Kron more like that, so that you go in thinking, either he redeems himself and you're like, thank God, or just please die, please, please, please.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the story here is very much like a classic Disney affair, very fairly predictable. A lost, misplaced hero confronts the hard-nosed leader of this herd who thinks the strong should only survive and not the weak. The hero who thinks everyone should have a chance to survive, even when Kron, the antagonist, is in danger. The hero wants to save him. You've seen this type of story many times before, but it works. It still gives you some sort of powerful feels. I especially like it when Aladar starts roaring at the Carnotaur, then everyone else joins in.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
always a satisfying classic trope, that never fails.
He becomes the leader, he's kind of got the respect of everybody.
Yeah, it's the classic cases, it just takes one. Just takes one to stand up to a bully.
Yeah.
And I think it's great because, it's the classic fish out of water tale. He's got a good heart. He's in this unforgiving world, but he tames it. He becomes the leader of them all and what have you, and he makes them see the error of their ways.
It's very much a Dinosaur out of Lima's world.
Yeah. I actually quite like, what was it, the interaction he had with...
Nira.
Nira, that's the one. Where he's letting the little ones, get water and show them how to do it, where... her brother was like, get the fuck out of the way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That only he should drink and stuff. And she was questioning her philosophy. It's why the hell are you so, I'm paraphrasing. She doesn't say hell and all this, but, why the fuck are you so kind? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
The R-rated version.
Yeah, the R-rated version. The Tarantino cut.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dinosaur feet everywhere.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Blood everywhere. Everyone's dead. Oh, Tarantino.
You got the Samuel L. Jackson dinosaur. Get out of the way, motherfucker.
Tarantino needs to do a dinosaur movie now, I think, yeah.
He should, yeah. But I like where they're discussing philosophies, and she's like, I've just never, me and my brother, it's always been survival of the fittest and stuff like that. And she's reconsidering it. I thought that was pretty good.
Cool lines, people. What we got? He's my grandfather, a couple of times removed. Try a couple of species removed.
I like Zinni. He's the really crazy lemur.
Yeah.
He's scraggly as hell. But I like it when he says, "This monster's got no teeth. What's it gonna do? Gum us to death?"
Yeah, that was fun.
I'll just go to the one that I like the most, which is more of a speech with Baleen, where he's like, "Oh, we're not meant to survive," and he's given up, where they can't burst through the rock, and it's all cascaded down, and it's like, yeah, we're finished. And he's kind of repeating the same sort of stuff, we're weak, we're not meant to survive. And she's like, oh, yes, we are. We're here, aren't we? And how dare you waste that good fortune by simply giving up? Shame on you. Shame on you. The worst of it is you allowed an old fool like me to believe I was needed, that I still had a purpose. And you know what? You were right. and I'm going to go on believing, and I, for one, am not willing to die here. And, and then she does that and pushes through. I thought that was cool. I thought that
it's
was cool.
the moment. It's the triumphant moment.
Yeah.
It's the speech.
And I think it's great that it comes from her. She's like the sort of submissive, weak, sort of old biddy. And I like that she says a speech and then bang. Thought that was good.
You always go for like the epic emotional line, don't you, Bo?
I do, obviously.
I always go for just the funny ones.
Yeah, you go for the funny ones. I go for like, what is the thing that it's like...
The meaningful one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what would I say in front of a huge room, a stadium of people? Like, countrymen, lend me your ears. I want those kind of speeches. So,
if it's not Aragorn's speech, it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, my favourite line is, that, children, is what's known as a Jerkosaurus. So,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's funny.
That's my epic line of choice. Killian, did you say your favourite?
Yeah, Zinni, when he what's this? It's got no teeth. What's it going to do? Gum us to death. But just look at this little baby, and he's like, "What's it going to do? It's this big."
I especially like I Spy with my little eye. A rock. You got it again? Oh, you are good. That was fun.
Yeah.
Girls, I'm known as the Professor of Love, and school's in session.
Yeah. Oh, poor Zinni. Yeah. That's when he's trying to get a girlfriend and no one wants him.
So, screenplay score, what we going for, Boaz? I think I like the screenplay more than the directing. So, 7.4 or 7.5?
Let's go 7.5.
Killian, what are you going for?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with 7.5.
Nice. I feel like we were all being very polite with the scoring.
We don't want Disney to come for us.
With their sniper rifles.
Yeah.
They've got too many Marvel things coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Acting then, or voice acting. I like the voice of Alfre Woodard, who voices Pilo, the mother lemur. She brings some like brilliant humor plus some great softness in the emotional and touching scenes, especially in the scene where she's talking to Bruton about choice in the cave when she's helping him. I like her performance in that. I thought she was great. Deela Reese, who plays Ina, like the old Triceratops. I thought she brought some great like heart and humor to the film as well. I think it's her first line when Aladar and Co are going like the wrong way when they meet the herd, and Ina says, "Walking backwards, huh? Well, let me know if that gets you there any faster."
Yeah.
I thought that was a great opening line for her. She brings some great, like, brilliant old humor to this film, which is very rare in animation, I would say. Yeah, I like that character as well. So, like, Pilo, the lemur by Alfre Woodard, and Delia Reese as Ema. I quite like those characters, those voices especially.
I love Pilo. I love the Alfre Woodard. I think she's just such a smooth voice. It's a really calming voice as well. I think she was cast really well.
Yeah.
And baby Hayden Panettiere as Suri.
Yeah.
Well, when I was growing up, Hayden Panettiere was pretty famous. In Heroes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I knew who she was. So
my God, I haven't heard of Heroes in ages.
Scream 4.
I think all the voices were cast well. I think everyone sounded like the dinosaur they were supposed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Certainly Samuel E. Wright, who plays Kron, definitely it's a bad guy voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
You cast someone like that for a bad guy voice.
Yeah.
I must say, like, the character names as well just sound really cool. Very, like, Star Trek Klingon inspired, like Kron, or who's the other guy? Balatar, I quite like the names as well. So, favourite performance for me would be Delia Reese, who plays Ina. Boaz, who's your favourite performance?
Just the old long neck one. I think that's just my favourite. But yeah, I do like a lot of the other cast, Zinni and Kron as well. Got a very kind of generalissimo sort of voice, definitely in charge. But yeah, I think my favourite is the long neck one. Yeah,
Baleen, played by Joan Plowright.
I think my favourite is probably Zinni, just because I feel like that would have been the most fun one to voice, the crazy lemur. He would have had the most fun because he just gets to say all the silly stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And basically scream every time he turns around. So,
voice acting score, Boaz. What should we go for? I would say like 7.8.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's voiced pretty damn well.
Killian?
I'm going to do a 7.9.
Well, okay.
Nice.
One up us.
Yeah.
0.1 point.
Yeah.
Right, let's add up the scores then for Dinosaur. Dinosaur gets 45.5.
That's pretty good.
Which is not bad at all, not bad. I thought before we get started on our choice, Boaz, shall we just have a little chat about, like, are we looking forward to Jurassic Park Dominion? What we thinking going into watching this one? Are we excited, apprehensive, very nervous? What do we think?
I'm very excited, as you can tell. I've got my Jurassic Park water bottle with me. I'm very excited. Look, I'm obsessed with Blue. Blue the Velociraptor is my favorite, and I know that's very basic. But I love her. She's so cool. But I also really love Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, she's great.
As an actress, as a director, as everything. I love her, and I think her character really, they've done really well growing her character from the first one to the second one, and I'm really excited to see how she is in this one.
I have to be honest, I'm a bit nervous and apprehensive.
Yeah, same.
Going into Dominion, because I really didn't like the second film.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same.
I didn't like it.
Oh, we can't be friends anymore, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, he didn't like it. I actively hated it.
All right.
I really, really don't like the second one.
Hate's a strong word, dude. Careful.
No, I absolutely hated it. I did
Really?
not like it at all. Yeah.
Why?
I don't want to get into it, but it was too much. Where I was like, nah. It's just so many bits in the plot and plot holes, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't at the end. I was like, no, this has lost me. And it's kind of crazy where you say, I just found it was too unbelievable, but. This is talking about a series where they bring back dinosaurs from the dead.
Yeah.
But it was too unbelievable for me. I just couldn't at the end. I was like, no,
All
this
right.
is ridiculous.
It's such a shame because Bayona is such a great director, because we covered The Impossible on this podcast way back when on Tom Holland films, and that film is incredible. It really is an incredible piece of work, and then it just felt like the studio just didn't give him much control. But yeah, there are some bits I really like in that film.
Yeah, there are bits that I like. I think it's a tale of there was enough to cram into a couple of movies, and there were some plot points which I think they should have dropped after the first, film, and they shouldn't have developed on. But I felt it was a bit much for one film, and I don't know, it just lost me a bit. It's like I would have been fine if it was just on the volcano island, and you could maybe do another one on there.
I think with Dominion, I am looking forward to it.
I think the trailers look really cool.
Again, it could be a classic case of, are they showing too much?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I really like the trailers for Fallen Kingdom, but as I said, my opinion of that is really poor. So I'm like, well, yeah, probably they could just get the good bits out of the trailer, but I don't know if I'm going to like this. Especially because, I think it's cool that they brought in the old cast, but I hope they're not doing a Rise of Skywalker, where it's like, oh shit, just cramming everything classic, and hopefully that will make up for no plot or whatever. And I hope that's not the case. It's just I
hope so.
Let's distract people by fan baiting. We're not going to write it very well. Just throw in everything you love. Surely that'll get people to sit down. So I am a bit worried, mainly because of the previous film and because of things like Rise of Skywalker, and they did that kind of shit. So I'm not sure. I hope it's going to be great. I pray, but we'll see.
Yeah. So our choice then for dinosaur films, I chose this one. Spoas has been choosing the last couple when we've had guests, so it was my turn, and we were basically talking. What were we talking, like Jurassic Park, the original, or like The Good Dinosaur? We were looking at as well.
That's so cute.
It was an adorable film.
Yeah, I mainly didn't go for The Good Dinosaur, mainly because I didn't want to cry my eyes out again, because I cried a lot at the end of that film. I was like, oh my god.
That film was really emotional, yeah.
Boaz was like, yeah, it'll be fine. I have a heart of stone. I don't cry at anything.
Yeah.
But I eventually went with The Lost World, Jurassic Park, even though the subtitle was the wrong way around.
Yeah.
It's weird. But
Yeah,
there we go.
That's always really annoyed me.
Mainly because I thought, when I was watching this growing up, I was like, this is amazing. This is just as good, maybe a little bit less good as the first film, but just really, really good, solid action film. Loved it as a kid. But it was very much got a little bit of a kicking when it came out, and I was like, why? Why is that?
Yeah, I couldn't really understand that. I got like Jurassic Park 3. I thought that was kind of it was a letdown. And I got the hate for that even when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, this kind of sucks.
Physics and logic go out the window, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no, I do have tremendously good memories of not just the first Jurassic Park, which I've watched a ton, but of the second one. And again, I was apprehensive to revisit it because, I've heard some people say, oh, it's nowhere near as good. I'm like, really? Really? It wasn't well liked? I just cannot remember this at all. I just remember it being really good. So, yeah. So I'm glad you picked this. I don't think I would have. But...
Yeah. But rewatching it, I kind of see why now a little bit.
Yeah.
When I'm older. Because I haven't seen this in a long time. So.
Yeah. I definitely don't think it's bad. I still think it's really good. I don't think it's as good as the first one. But I still think there are like some good things in this. I don't think it's a bad film. So I don't really understand the criticism to say it's bad. There are criticisms with the plot, which I don't think makes sense. There are some things where I'm like, I don't think that makes sense, and I think there are some weaknesses in the structure, but overall, I still quite enjoyed it, and I had just tremendously good memories coming back. Oh shit, I remember this bit. There's some good lines as well. I actually like Dr. Malcolm as a protagonist more than I like Sam Neill.
Yeah, I'll agree with that statement. I really enjoy it. I enjoy it for first and foremost the cast because of. You wouldn't think Julianne Moore, Vince Vaughn, and Jeff Goldblum would be in a movie.
Amazing.
Thinking those two in a movie together? What?
Yeah.
But back then they were just, Julianne Moore, Vince Vaughn, Jeff Goldblum, no big deal. And I think the three of them work really well together in that. But no, I do enjoy it. I enjoy it because there's a baby dinosaur, and I'm a sucker for a cute baby dinosaur. But no, I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy that one just as much as the first one. I'm not big on the third one.
Yeah,
but, this one was good.
Yeah. So, Boaz, what happens in the Lost World, Jurassic Park?
So, the Lost World takes place several years after the first one. I think it's like 5 or 6. John Hammond, the leader of InGen, he's kind of lost control of his company to his nephew. Because a little girl, their family vacationed on Isla Sorna? Or something like that? Yeah, which is a second island with dinosaurs, not knowing there were dinosaurs. She gets attacked, the little girl, and so InGen basically removes him from his own company. His nephew is kind of like how he was before, the first Jurassic Park, and he saw the error of his ways. So he's very much, we need to go to this second island, collect a bunch of dinosaurs, and bring them to San Diego, which is a batshit insane idea. Obviously, Dr. Malcolm, thinks this is a terrible idea. His career has been ruined by the nephew, who's dragged his name through the mud, so nobody respects him or likes him very much in the public. Dr. Hammond wants to basically do a plan to stop his nephew from doing this by sending a team to survey the natural habitat of the dinosaurs to try and get public opinion on his side that they shouldn't mess with their natural habitat. And he gets Malcolm's girlfriend involved. And so Malcolm, he's not going there to survey the island like Hammond wants him to. He wants to rescue his girlfriend, who thinks is completely in over her head. His daughter also stows away on the transport there. While they're doing this survey of the island, InGen basically attacks much earlier than they thought they would, starts taking dinosaurs, and then stuff kicks off, and they're both teams are stuck on the island and have to travel straight through the interior to get a helicopter to get the hell out of there. So yeah, it becomes like a survival film from that point onward.
So directing then, in most Jurassic Park films, you always have the scenes where everything is going smoothly until the dino shit hits the fan, if you will. Before, the camera work has been pretty smooth, but when we get our first night scene, InGen have set up camp and Ludlow is doing a video call to his investors, and the camera shots all become quite handheld while Sarah and Nick unlock all the cages. Then when the dinos crash through the camp, the style of camera work is pretty frantic, especially with the cutting. that was all pretty satisfying and works really well. But then like a Jeep blows up, and then somehow a dinosaur decides to throw a burning Jeep across the island and nearly kills Roland and the other guy. And I was like, how the hell is that possible?
Yeah.
Like, a dinosaur must have thrown it, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there are things like that in the film where you're like, I don't get how that exactly happened. But I mean, maybe just the explosion somehow propelled it into the air.
Well, yeah, I think that's what the effect they were going for. But
yeah,
if you see the shot before it flies through the air, the Jeep kind of just like blows up, goes up, and then down again. They don't cut it, quick enough. But it just seems weird, that bit. I'm like, what the hell? How is that flying through the air? Did a Triceratops flip it up with its horns and then like scorpion kick it across?
I don't know. Maybe they made a trebuchet. I don't know.
Catapult.
Yeah, cannon. But I thought that shot was pretty cool. Definitely very dramatic. I think there's a lot of So I even talk about like the first scene, because that still gets me even to this day. I still think it's freaking hilarious. It starts off sweet, the couple, and they're barely paying attention, and the daughter wants to wander away, and it's like, oh, for God's sake, darling, like let her do what she likes and stuff. And she sees these dinosaurs, and you're like, okay, it's not gonna go well. It's like, what are you, some kinds of birds or something? And she's giving them ham sandwiches, and they start attacking her or getting around her. She screams. And then I love it where the camera is just like on the family running towards, probably she's behind the camera getting attacked. They're running towards, and I like how the mother just kind of stops and screams. And then you have what I think you would think is a reaction shot of maybe the daughter, but it's Dr. Malcolm with like a
yawning.
Yeah, yawning with a palm tree on him. That always makes me laugh, because I just think, like, what if that was the case? Like, the daughter was eaten by Dr. Malcolm, a giant Dr. Malcolm. That would be hilarious. So it just makes me laugh, and I just love that transition. And the roar turns into the screech of the train track. I just think it's hilarious. Yeah. But it undercuts like such a horrible moment or something. That is so funny. But that always gets me, how they introduce him.
Just that first scene, just I don't think the kid dies. I think they just say that she gets attacked.
No, gets
by
injured,
compies.
Yeah.
It's a kid. The kid's gonna die. I'm sorry, the kid's gonna die.
Yeah.
It's proper dark.
Yeah. Especially, do you see what it did to the other fella? Like when they bring back the creatures. Holy crap!
That's what I don't understand. It's like a grown man gets attacked by them and gets really muffed up.
Yeah.
But a little girl feeding them ham sandwiches is just a few scratches. She's fine.
I guess they were like, they kind of maybe have liked the roast beef a little bit more. I don't know. They were kind of full a little bit, so they didn't eat her whole. Yeah. I don't know. All of her. Yeah. Whereas the other guy didn't have roast beef sandwiches.
And he was a massive cock, so,
That's true. You can't kill a kid, can you? You're not allowed to kill a kid in a dinosaur movie.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going to nip her finger, but this guy, he's a bastard. He killed Fred,
Yeah. And he didn't have roast beef sandwiches.
Yeah.
Exactly. No sandwiches, you die.
Yeah.
That is the rule.
Yeah.
I love the slow suspense build up to like the T-Rex scene where you hear like the roar of the T-Rex. Like Malcolm is trying to phone the trailers. Eddie and Kelly see the trees move from underneath them as the T-Rex moves towards the trailers unseen. When Malcolm arrives at the trailer, you just see a Jeep tumble over the cliff. You have all that. Then the characters are all looking past the camera, waiting for the T-Rex to reveal himself. Nope, he's behind you. Then cut to the next shot. Oh shit, there's two of them. Yeah. I can tell that Spielberg has asked the T-Rex to work on like their tiptoeing skills.
Yeah, he's a ninja T-Rex.
They seem to forget about the classic massive stomping from the first film, but apart from that, it's a brilliant reveal of the T-Rexes for me.
I thought it was a brilliant reveal because they hear the noise in front of them, and you have the camera looking at them, and then just the eye of the bloody thing is behind them, out the window. You're like, ah! I really like that. It is it's a very panto moment. I'm like, she's behind you.
After that, like, so much happens with the action in terms of the suspense sequences, you know, and the moments where we can take a breath before the suspense starts up again. The T-Rexes decides to push the trailers over the cliff, so one of them is hanging over the cliff. And it's interesting that that the music only kicks in when one of the characters are in genuine danger. You know, when Sarah is on the window and the glass is starting to crack, that was amazing. You know, Malcolm saves Sarah, then the scene takes another pause, but the music is still there, trying to keep the tension up. Because we don't know where the T-Rexes are, the suspense builds up again with Malcolm, Sarah, and Nick going up and down the rope. You know, then the T-Rexes get bored, come back and start to eat Eddie. Then the scene climaxes with Eddie being flipped and pulled apart. And the trailer falling right around the characters holding the rope on the cliff. It's such a long scene, so much happens. And I like how Spielberg balances when and how the suspense should start up again.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to end at each pause and move on to the next scene, but no, it just keeps going. It's a very relentless scene.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's probably my favorite scene in the movie, the hanging by the cliff and everything, because there's about a dozen moments where there's escalation, where you're like, oh no, oh my god, no, you know, and there's a problem, and then there's another problem, like, you know, not only are they pushed over the cliff, you're like, oh Jesus Christ. And I like even how that was set up, where everything's calmed down, they've given you're like, okay, it's fine, they're walking away, oh that's good, and then all of a sudden Malcolm, he's on the phone, and then he just like hold on to something, and you're like, oh my god, and they immediately go over the cliff. So you got, you know, that's a huge problem. Then they're dangling, then she falls onto the glass, and you're like, oh my god, she's gonna go through it, it's cracking. Then you have the satellite phone is starting to slide off, and they've got to try and reach that before it catches, and then getting her backpack to hold her up, and then you've got Eddie coming in. He puts it round the RV first time, and then it cracks off, and then it goes off. And then he's got to grab it again before it goes. It's just so much. And then there are dinosaurs, and then, you know, his gun is trapped. It's like, Jesus Christ, there's so much going on. Yeah. And by the end of that whole sequence, I'm just emotionally exhausted. You're like, oh my God, that was a lot.
Completely agree. It's the most intense scene, I think, when you're watching it, especially when you're younger, watching it, and your heart's just like...
Oh, yeah. That used to scare the bejesus out of me when I was...
Oh my God, they're gonna die!
Yeah, they're gonna die!
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like, the way Spielberg is kind of balancing his budgetary constraints as well and relying on music. It very much reminded me a lot of Jaws in that way of, like, okay, this is what the script says. We might have to adjust some things. We've got to use some music here to keep the tension going. Because obviously, you know, at several points, the dinosaurs just aren't there. The T-Rexes aren't there, you know, and you are left wondering a little bit, like asking yourself, where are the T-Rexes gone? You know, probably placing bets on who's going to die first and giggling to themselves. I don't know. But if you remember, like in the first film, like a cliff suddenly appears when the Jeep is hanging off it. Whereas before the T-Rex breaks through the fence, there was no cliff, you know, in the first movie. But I guess T-Rexes are more memorable than cliffs. So, you know, it's just interesting with that. I think that's why I think it works so well, is the fact that because the tension and the suspense works is so brilliant, the fact that you don't really mind so much that the T-Rexes aren't there like the whole time in that scene.
Yeah. Well, I think even just having them show up towards the end, it's like there is so much going on, and then it's just a cherry on the top. Oh shit, there are T-Rexes. You could have had that either all with a T-Rex, which would have been incredibly expensive, or just had the T-Rex not show it up at all. But even just having them at the end, you think they're in there a lot longer than they are. You're like, oh my God, you know, I'm already so like exhausted. It's been like, you know, a couple of minutes of this, and there are T-Rexes. It kind of heightens it, I think, to a new level. I think it's a really good scene. I do think there are some other really good scenes after that, but I think to me, I would have probably put that later in the movie. It was just such a good sequence that it's very hard to top. I don't think they should have blown their load so early, but I thought it was a really good sequence.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's just kind of like with the T-Rex's absence, it's just like them just toying with the humans,
Yeah.
just playing with them. If
Yeah.
you look at it like that.
Yeah, they're basically like Jigsaw, or
Yeah.
I'd like to play a game.
There's an image of a T-Rex on the bike of the doll from Saw.
That would be absolutely hilarious. Just goes into the room.
No, I can't reach.
That would be absolutely hilarious.
That's a big moment.
You just face plants. Yeah.
That was an image.
I didn't like the raptor scene though in the abandoned buildings, because at the start I feel like the raptor could have killed Malcolm at any moment, certainly at the start. And then when Malcolm gets pushed through the door of the car and gets like trapped in there, it looked like Malcolm's neck should have snapped in the door. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but
No, I didn't really notice that.
when Sarah like drops to the ground, like the only reason she doesn't get eaten is because the two raptors like are having a Barney, like fighting with each other, saying, why did you fall on me? That wasn't part of the plan, damn it.
Yeah.
You were supposed to go the other way.
Like, I would say with that scene, like, it's them, like, standing up to the dinosaurs and what have you. I think my favorite parts of that scene were I think my favorite part in that scene was when they're trying to dig out and it's digging behind them. I thought that was great. And she gets her head out, you go first, and the other head comes out, the other Velociraptor. I was like, man, that is a really good scare. That was really suspenseful. But most of the scene, I kind of agree. It's kind of contrived in such a way that they should die immediately. It should be more cat and mouse rather than them actually facing these things. Especially when, like, she does, like, this sort of Power Ranger move and kicks the thing out of the window.
I quite like that, though. I thought that was one of the better moments.
I thought it was a bit much. I don't think she needed to do, like, as much of that shit. It just felt too...
Well, she's a gymnast.
Yeah, it felt too action movie to me.
Needs to build momentum.
She's a gymnast. They have to prove that she can do it.
Exactly. She's got to get the 10 points before she kicks that thing out the window. And also, what was it? Where she, like, moves the tiles. I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
But, there's some bits that they should have definitely died on, especially Malcolm, where he's, like, literally getting a direct frontal assault by this thing. But, it's plot armor, I suppose.
Like when Sarah somehow escapes, it's like she's going through like a Thunderbirds launch sequence. The thing comes down and rolls through, and it's like, okay.
I would actually like a longer scene in the long grass.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, especially when you see it and they're walking and you just see, like, these trails of their tails, like, through the grass, like, making... It's just also, it just reminds me of, like, shark fins in, like, water, but done in grass with, like, dinosaurs.
That's my favorite shot, yeah.
That's just an incredible shot. And then it launches on one of the guys, just jumps at them. And I just felt that was over a bit too quickly. I was like, you could really play with that.
I kind of like all the loads of quick shots of the raptors, like, picking them off one by one in little flashes. I thought that was brilliantly done as well. But yeah, that scene and that wide shot in particular, seeing all the dark trails through the long grass, that's definitely my favorite scene. The last scene where the T-Rex wreaks havoc on San Diego is like Spielberg's King Kong / Godzilla moment.
Godzilla. I would say it's definitely a Godzilla moment. Do you especially remember where at one bit, because I never noticed this before upon just the rewatch, and I burst out laughing, where you see all of these people run, but the first group you see run are like Japanese businessmen. And I was like, this is obviously Godzilla. They're like, God, we left Tokyo for this because of this shit.
Not another one.
Yeah, I definitely did like the reveal of that.
Yeah, there's some cool scenes in there. The T-Rex crashing into a bus, like a giant pool table ball rolling around. I feel like they could have had a bit more fun there, though, and made it a little bit more creative. Plus, why do you have to kill a dog? That's just really hard. Kill another human in a creative way.
Eat a baby, not a dog.
Exactly. Jesus. Take the baby. Nobody's going to miss it.
Were you upset by that moment, Killian? The dog being killed?
Always. I do not agree with dogs dying in movies. It's not fair. Yeah, unless it's Steel from Bolto. Yeah,
well, Steel. What a wanker.
No, I don't do well with dogs dying in movies.
And the guy who gets eaten in San Diego, at the end is David Koepp, the writer of the film, and he's credited as Unlucky Bastard.
That is
I
hilarious.
thought it was fun.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, he wrote the first two.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the whole rampage through San Diego scene, and it is like one of those iconic, scenes. On a rewatch, though, and I think it's more to do with script, I think they could have done a lot more with it. But I feel like you're coming towards the end of the runtime, and it just felt like tagged on.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like, we got to get this thing in where the dinosaur wrecks San Diego. I was like, they could have done a whole movie of that rather than just tag it on the last 10 minutes of Jurassic World. But, that's just me. I do felt it was a bit tagged on. It was cool, but it on retrospect, it just feels like it's in there because it's cool.
Not because it adds to anything, really.
Killian, any other directional moments that you liked in the film?
Look, I love it all. I'm a Spielberg junkie, so...
Yeah, definitely.
No, I agree with everything you guys have said, basically. Took the words right out my mouth.
Okay. Have you got a favourite scene, though, or a favourite shot?
The baby, when they have the baby T-Rex.
All the scenes with the baby T-Rex.
All the scene with the baby T-Rex. No, but when their faces come, like when the one face, the eye of the T-Rex comes down on this side, and they're like, "Oh my god!" But then the other side, there's another one, and you realize it's a mum and a dad.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
Yeah, that was
that
I
was
thought it was
cool,
pretty
yeah.
cool. I just thought it was cool they had two T-Rex, like two big T-Rexes. So.
Well, it's the classic thing in the sequel. Like, we had one T-Rex in the first one. Let's have two in this one.
Yeah. Next one, we got to have three with miniguns attached to their eyes or something. I don't know.
Yes, because that would make a lot of sense.
Well, they wanted to use raptors as soldiers, so it's not that far.
Well, they were trying to develop Jurassic Park 4 for a long time, weren't they? And just failed miserably. And that was one of the ideas, wasn't it? They did release some concept art of these human/dino creatures for Jurassic Park 4, and it never really got off the ground.
Yeah, that just sounds stupid.
No, but the first Jurassic World, that's why they trained the raptors the way they did, because he wanted to sell them as soldiers. So T-Rexes with miniguns is it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the ultimate weapon. Yeah, I think that was one plot point I just couldn't stand, especially like they went all in on it on Fallen Kingdom, like to sell them as weapons. It's a massive plot point. Like, dude, they would be terrible weapons. Especially when he was selling them on the... I know I'm getting waylaid, but he was selling them on the open market. And he was like, oh, this thing, with the big ball on its tail, it's like a tank that you feed. It's like, do you know what would be better than a tank you could feed? A tank,
That you don't have to feed?
Yeah, exactly. And that could kill you from like a fucking half a kilometer away with a gun. And does this thing have a gun? I don't know. I just felt like that whole plot made no sense. Especially, I'm sorry, I just want to rag on that film for a bit. Especially like they were talking about the
We'll go make another drink.
Yeah.
And you carry on.
Yeah, the Indomoraptor. This is one plot point I hate, where they were saying if you point a laser scope at the target and press a button, the raptor will run at the target and kill it. If you've got a laser sight on this motherfucker, shoot him. Yeah. Oh my god, doesn't make any sense.
Obviously, we don't have bullets that can kill the Indoraptor. Yeah.
They ran out of metal bullets. It's obvious.
Yeah, you don't want him to die the easy way.
Favorite scene shot, Boaz, of Jurassic World.
So,
the Lost World. Sorry.
Yeah, the last one.
Damn it, Boaz.
We've been over like so many scenes that I quite like. I like a lot of shots. Oh, what was it? Yeah, the eye with the T-Rex attack. I think even actually, where the T-Rex like goes into their tent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I thought that was awesome. That was really creepy.
Especially a bit before that, like the silhouetted T-Rex head outside of the tent. Anything silhouetted, I'm going to love, but I especially love that. That was great. And just like the proximity of like the T-Rex head and Sarah and Kelly just lying there, the fact that they're so close.
Yeah.
Just visually, it's just like, oh my God, this is intense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I would say like my favorite shot, even doing the rewatch, is we've talked about this scene a lot because there's a lot going on in it, but where they're being attacked by the two T-Rexes and they're being shoved off the cliff and everything.
Yeah. I
think my favorite single shot is how they kind of change perspective from like you're looking upwards at Vince Vaughn's character and Dr. Malcolm and stuff, Jeff Goldblum's character upwards like that, and they're talking down to Sarah, and then the camera sort of refocuses that you see like you see like Sarah right in front of you. I don't know how they did that, and it's like the camera is outside the glass, zooming into them, and kind of zooms out and sort of changes focus, that she's in focus and they're out of focus. It's such a simple like thing that I really like, but I was like, that just blew my mind watching it again. I was like, oh my god, that is such a great way to have two characters interacting rather than do a shot and a shot. Just literally change perspective and switch the focus. I thought that was a good shot.
That's very much a Spielberg trope, I would say, in a lot of his films. You know, there's a great one actually right at the start in that opening scene where you think there's a really long shot on the cruise boat, the yacht, and you think, oh, we're going to cut to the characters on the boat next. But no, it's a huge pull focus to the sailors, and it goes right on close up to the champagne pouring. That's classic Spielberg.
Yeah, brilliant shot. It's a really good idea because so many people, they would have done a cut there, and it's just incredible that you just do that. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, you see it time and time again in Spielberg movies. Killian, score for directing, what are you going for?
For directing, I'm going to give it a 9.
Cool. What are we going for then, Boaz?
I think this is really good, and I definitely put it high. I probably won't go 9s, but I may think like 8.6 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Screenplay then. Like in the first 40 minutes, it's quite action light. You know, and the action scenes you do get are kind of little tasters of what's to come, if you will. You have that brief attack from the Stegosaurus on Sarah, smashing its tail spikes through the hollow log. That's about it for that scene. And when Engen arrive on the island, the only real like good scenes are when a guy on a motorbike rides through like underneath this massive dinosaur. You know, the ramming dino like rams a guy straight through both doors of a Jeep. That was really cool, actually.
I like how that was done script-wise while the expert is explaining how it rams. He's like, it kind of gets its neck perpendicular, and if it's going to ram, it just smashes that guy through a window.
But I feel like Spielberg has great awareness of budget at this point in his career. Like he's saving like the big action stuff where it really matters, which is towards the end of the film. He certainly didn't have that awareness at the beginning of his career. Like he still made incredible films, but producers were having nervous sweats and heart attacks in his early films, you know, for going over budget and over schedule. You can tell I've watched a Spielberg documentary recently. or do you think Spielberg was going like being too careful in those early action scenes, or has it just not dated well watching it now? What do you reckon about those early action scenes for you guys?
I don't think it's a case of him not going far enough. I think, you know, there are quite a lot of like mini action scenes that at least one thing happens. And I know you could say, oh, you know, he's probably trying not to fork out on like but I think if you just stuff it full of too many bloated action scenes, it's just going to feel just a bit much, you know?
Too much.
It's going to feel a bit much, yeah. I think the fact that you've got like the 3 action scenes that I think are like, you know, the most well put together, fully developed are, you know, the 2 T-Rex attack thing, the Velociraptor attack towards the end, and the T-Rex carnage thing. But between that, you have like so many small little things. You know, you have the 5-second Stegosaurus attack. You have like, you know, the ramming, when they're collecting the dinosaurs and stuff like that. You have them destroying their camp, you know, stampeding through. You have the little dinosaur attack for that one guy. So you have like these tiny 5-10 second little action scenes through. Oh, and you know, the T-Rex attack on the camp. So you got like, you know, these between 5 to 20 second little action scenes. I do think it kind of makes it feel like there's a lot going on. Like every 10 minutes, you're like, oh, there's something going on. I don't think you need to have like a really fully realized scene every 5 minutes. You just have to have something. And I think it's got something. So I'm not really got a problem with the pacing there.
Killian, what do you think? Is it overstuffed for you, or does he get it just right, Spielberg?
I'm biased because I I just want to be like, no, he does everything perfect. He's amazing. I love him. No, I think I agree with Boaz a lot. Yeah, no, I think there's enough little moments that it's not jam packed and you're overstimulated by too much. But I think there's just enough that it keeps you going. Oh, but what's going to happen next? Okay, but
Yeah.
what's going to happen
Yeah.
next?
You know, I thought it was paced pretty well. Probably not perfectly, but it definitely, there aren't bits that are like, man, I'm getting bored here.
Yeah.
So at least every couple of minutes, every 10 or something minutes, something happens. And I think that's, you don't need like,
Yeah.
you know, just one big action scene at the end that's going to be half an hour and you're going to be bored to tears through most of the film.
Yeah.
And you don't need like fucking a dozen 5-minute action scenes.
Yeah.
So I think I'm kind of fine with how he paced it,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I think structurally it is a tad overstuffed with too many like little scenes, but I think the scale of the action, like developing through the script, works really well, and Spielberg definitely knows how to tell a story in terms of action, and he gets that spot on. And obviously with Fallen Kingdom, it's like the opposite. It's like you have this amazing, incredible action scene with the volcano going off, but then it gets real small scale, and it's just topsy-turvy in that film, and it doesn't make sense in terms of your scale of your action going through the film, whereas this gets, and you know, Jurassic Park, it gets it right, and I think this gets it right as well. But there is one scene where it definitely slows down a little bit, and that's the death scene of Dieter, Peter Stormare's character. It's fun, and there's some nice like Sam Raimi like POV shots, but it's way too long, and it really kills the momentum of the main story and for the main characters. You know, this is a death scene of a very minor character. So you could have cut that scene altogether, or just came up with a quicker, more creative death for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like they cut away from that scene as well to get back to the main group and then come back to like kill him. I think you could have made that scene a lot shorter, or just got rid of it completely, even though it's a great scene, but you could have lost it.
I do think it's a great scene, and actually that scene like terrified the shit out of me when I was a kid, because I would constantly think, you know, I'm on the toilet, these little fucking things can fit through the hole on the door, and they're going to eat the shit out of me while I'm taking a shit, you know. And it used to scare the hell out of me, you know.
Oh gosh.
Oh, as uncensored. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a really good moment. I do kind of agree. Yeah, he's kind of a bit character. So I think either make it shorter, get rid of it, or have it happen to a more important character. You could have it maybe happen to, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, like his best friend. His best friend essentially died. Did he die off screen, or did he die? Because I can't remember.
Well, Carter, no, he gets stamped on by the T-Rex in his body. He's like stuck on his foot.
No. I mean, you know, Roland. He has a friend, RJ. And he goes, RJ didn't make it. Maybe you should have given that death to RJ. Like, it's a pretty fucking gruesome death. And it just seems like I don't even remember where he died. He's very important to Roland. And Roland is like, you know, RJ didn't make it. I'm completely out of this business because RJ died.
He gets eaten by the T-Rex under the waterfall. He gets a snake that goes down.
No, that's not RJ. That's the expert they have. That's not RJ. Yeah. RJ is the Indian fella that's with him in the tree and everything. Just follows him around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't remember where he died.
I don't remember where he died.
I don't remember that character, frankly.
He was always next to him. Like, you know, RJ. He's always like RJ basically never talks, but he talks to him all the time. They probably should have developed him a little more. But at the end, it's like a big thing for Roland where he's like, oh yeah, RJ didn't make it. He's like, I'm so sorry. Do you want a job at my thing? He's like, no, I've had too much in the company of death. So I think there's two problems there. Number one, RJ wasn't that memorable, didn't have many lines, didn't really have a relationship. It's got a huge thing with his character, and he kind of dies off screen.
He dies off screen. They don't show you AJ dying. You hear his screams, apparently. You can hear him scream, but they don't show him dying.
But yeah, that seems to be quite a big issue then with the script, that it seems like they've already cut major scenes out to shorten it already, and they didn't want to cut even more. You know,
maybe even the guy that Dieter or whatever, maybe he had like a larger, more antagonistic role, and then it was like meant to be more satisfying when he died. But you know, he's just a guy, and you know. Yeah, I do feel actually that might be a thing. There might be some important character development that's just like been cut out because there do seem to be things that are missing.
I quite like how they skip over quite a lot of story when Engine capture the T-Rex. Like Malcolm, Sarah and Kelly see it captured from their helicopter. Then the next time you see the T-Rex is when it comes out of the cargo hold on the ship after it crashed. and all the crew are dead. Probably quite a wise decision not showing how does a large dinosaur kill everyone on a boat. But it just makes the boat approaching the dock much more intriguing and tense, I guess, of why is this happening. And I think that's why this film goes at such a pace and never lets up, and because it doesn't give you time to think about how certain things are happening. But I'd rather see the slow build-up of the boat crashing than the T-Rex killing people, because we've seen that happen already a few times, rather than try to explain like a crazy piece of plot, you know. So.
I do think that plot-wise, I think that's an important plot point that I didn't care about when I was a child. This is why I think maybe the T-Rex in San Diego may have been tagged on. Like, on a rewatch, it does feel tagged on. It does feel like it's meant to be this epic thing in the city. And most of the film is not in the city. It's on this other island. You know, most of the plot is on this other island. It does feel like, you know, the San Diego thing is tacked on. And plot-wise, I think it might have been, because it doesn't even make sense logically in the plot. Like, how the hell... I think that's the thing you say, like, they brush past, but really, that needs explanation. How the hell did this thing not only wake up, because it was really fucking... It was, you know, it's put under really badly, but how the hell did it kill everybody on the ship? Not only did it kill everybody on the ship, but then it somehow got into the cargo hold, and one of the guys who is only a severed hand somehow pressed the button to close the cargo hold. How the fuck does that make any sense? You know, it seems like a really, really contrived way to get a dinosaur to attack in San Diego. I don't think they thought about this at all. Could have been like, let's have most of the film on this island, and then someone was like, they got to have like a huge chase scene in San Diego, which is cool, but I just don't get how the fuck it makes any sense.
It doesn't.
It's a huge plot hole. How on earth did the dinosaur fucking kill everyone on the boat, magically steer the boat to San Diego Harbor, and somehow get the fuck out? It doesn't make any sense.
You don't know. They might have genetically, accidentally given him boat skills, sailing skills. You never know.
I just don't get it.
And a mistake in the genetics.
Yeah. There was this guy that came up with this incredible theory that it was like some saboteur who went and killed everybody. And I don't know, ate them? I don't know. But it doesn't make any sense from a script perspective. So I just feel like the last scene is cool, but I reckon it was tagged on. It just doesn't make any logical sense.
I do like the mystery of the boat approaching really fast, though. I like that scene.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
The fact that, from a visual standpoint, that's cool, and it's a bit different visually. But yeah, it doesn't make a lick of sense, really.
It doesn't make any sense, yeah. Because... So I think this is the big problem, I think, with the plot of this film, is they could have either been completely in the island from beginning to end, which I think was the original plan, or to have a movie where they're in San Diego and there are dinosaurs running around in San Diego. And I feel like they've tried to like have their cake and eat it too, have this story which is way more developed on the island, and then have this 10-minute tagged on bit where it's a dinosaur running around San Diego. And the logic to connect these two plots is non-existent. It just doesn't make any goddamn sense. How you get from the island to having this T-Rex run amok in San Diego.
It just feels like, as I said, like a King Kong Godzilla homage, and they don't have enough fun with it. Really.
Yeah, I think it was last minute. I think it was a case of what's in theaters. This was probably in the late 90s. Godzilla 1998 has come out. Compete with it somehow, Spielberg. Compete with it, and I think he did that. He's like, yeah, sure.
I've never thought about it like that, and I'm questioning everything I thought I knew. What is real anymore? No, it doesn't make sense, does it? It really doesn't. You have liberated my brain to the truth that it doesn't make sense. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Although, that said, the ending where, the little T-Rex kills that piece of shit InGen guy, that is always satisfying to me.
Yeah.
I even like how the daddy T-Rex is just like, that's my boy. He just lets him fuck him up.
Yeah. It's like, I'm proud.
Yeah.
Cool, funny lines.
Oh, man. I think Malcolm has, so many good lines.
I think mine is one Julianne Moore's character says, "Don't treat me like a grad student. I've worked around predators since I was 20. Lions, jackals, hyenas, you."
Yeah.
And, I like that. I like that one.
I like the first one from Ludlow, the bad, the hateful corporate bad guy. It's like, careful, this suit costs more than your education.
Yeah, that was good.
How do you know how much his education cost?
Yeah. Must be bloody expensive. I'm like, you got ripped off there, dude. That guy clearly is a doctor.
So that's close to $100,000 suit, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I like the line where he's like, I sat down and I told the truth and I was berated for it. And he goes, your version of the truth. And he's like, there are no versions of the truth. And I just kind of like that line because it's like, cut straight to it. It's just things like that I just think are really good sayings. They could just be incredibly good sayings.
It definitely works really well, and certainly in today's politics.
Yeah.
So you went from capitalist to nationalist in just 4 years. That's something.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. I think this was a good line where he's talking to Sarah, and she's like, "You guys should go. This is too dangerous for you. I'll be back in 5 or 6 days." And he's like, "You'll be back in 5 or 6 pieces." Like that. I like that line. That's, I think, my favorite.
I love the homage to the original Lost World from 1960, where he says, "What do you think you were going to document? What did you think you were going to see? Animals, maybe? Big iguanas?
Yeah.
Fruitcakes." And I just love the reference to big iguanas. In 1960, they made, iguanas look really big and had headdresses and stuff. It was, I love, the reference there.
Oh, actually, there's two lines that happen quite close together within a couple of minutes. One where that guy is trying to save them, their friend, while they're hanging off the cliff, and he goes over and he says, "What do you guys need?" He's like, "Well, pull a rope, pull us up." And he goes, "Anything else?" And they're like, "Yeah, double cheeseburger."
Well, he says, "Yeah, 3 double cheeseburgers with everything."
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Then Nick says, "No onions on mine." Sarah says, "And an apple turnover."
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I thought that was funny. And then when Roland, after he's been eaten, he's like, the T-Rex is just fed, and he's like, "Just fed? That's our friend you're talking about, for God's sake." And he's like, "Well, his troubles are over. Ours are just beginning." And that's a pretty badass line.
That's dark.
Yeah.
That's really dark.
It is dark, yeah.
Especially like one from Jeff Goldblum near the start where they're talking about the hide, and Eddie says it goes up to where the trees are and keeps the researchers out of harm's way. And then Jeff Goldblum says, actually, it puts them in a very convenient biting hunt.
Yeah.
There are loads, but my favorite one is kind of the classic, "Don't go in the long grass."
Yeah.
I used to shout that as a kid, like at school, because there was a little patch of grass that was quite long, and I always kind of shouted that.
Yeah.
"Don't go into the long grass." That was fun. Yeah. Screenplay score, Killian, what are you going for?
I would give it a 7.5.
Boaz, what are we going for?
Yeah, it's the thing. I think there are great moments in this film, as we've already said, but there are some bits where you're like, there are missed opportunities, or there are just contrivances. Yeah, maybe like 7.6 or something like that.
I wouldn't mind going a little bit higher because it is quite hilarious.
It is, yeah, there are some
some great lines.
Yeah, there are some good lines.
Yes, a lot of the logical stuff doesn't make sense, but you don't have time to think about it when you're watching it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and there's a lot of great sequences. Yes, it's a little overstuffed. You could have definitely cut more stuff out of here, but the characters are great. The dinosaur action is great. It's all paced really well. Structurally, it works. Yes, the end is a little bit tagged on. So,
should we go 8 or 7.9?
No, 7.8.
7.8? Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, acting then. I love Pete Postlethwaite's introduction to the film as Roland Tembo. Like, he establishes right from the off that he's not to be messed with. He's talking to like the incredibly irritating Peter Ludlow, and the end of his speech he says, "So go ahead, set up your base camp right here, or in a swamp, or in the middle of a Rex nest for all I care, but I've been in too many safaris with rich dentists to listen to any more suicidal ideas." Okay. And I'm not sure you get many better monologues to introduce your bad guy, and that's only half of it. There was loads before that as well. I really like Pete Postlethwaite in this film. I'm actually quite glad he doesn't die in this. He gets a little bit more respect. He is respected, the fact that he's just doing his job, but he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
I also like the scene where I think it's where just before he catches the baby T-Rex, where he knows that there's a T-Rex in the area, and he sort of like weapons up, and he just walks straight past his boss. He's like, "Where the hell are you going?" He's like, "To collect my fee."
Yeah,
He's very cool. I just really like Julianne Moore. I think her character is, she's not really a damsel in distress. She's very much like, okay, she's like, I know you want to protect me, but fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. I've got this.
Yeah.
I can do this myself. I don't need you. And I sort of like when they do female characters that, she's still obviously she's scared when things happen and whatnot, but she doesn't feel like the usual like save me. And I really like her.
Yeah, she's certainly not a dumb character at all.
No.
Yeah, they do make her feel intelligent, like just in the storytelling as well. Like even before, like, the T-Rex sequence, whether you see the first two, and Nick is bringing in the baby T-Rex, and she's like, "No, this is a terrible idea, but we're going to do it anyway."
Yeah.
It's just the first instinct of intelligence, like, this is not a good idea. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I also like actually like in the tent thing where the Tyrannosaurus, and like she is visibly like on her face, she looks absolutely terrified, like fucking mortified.
Yeah.
But she's still keeping her cool. She's still like trying to keep it in. And I like, the little girl wakes up and she's, puts her hand over her mouth, and it's like, and you do feel the fear, but you just feel like she's not like an idiot.
Yeah.
She is feeling genuine emotion. You would be scared shitless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But trying to like hold it in, and I think that was played really well.
It's sort of real in what someone would do in a situation where they're terrified, but it's like
exactly
a real survival situation.
Because they could have done it bad and tried to make that person quote unquote more badass, where like they're completely stoic. But that would just ring hollow. It's like everybody would be terrified in that situation.
But yeah, no, I really like her, because I think for me, seeing female characters like that was, when I was little, it was like I wasn't one of those girls that was like, I want to be a princess and I want everyone to save me. It was like, see, you don't need people to save you. You can be cool too.
Yeah, she gets the last shot of the film, like tranking the T-Rex. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you prefer her to Laura Dern, or are you a Laura Dern diehard?
Look, I think in all of the Jurassics, they've done justice with the main female characters. They haven't made them stupid or unintelligent or anything like that. See, I think Laura Dern's character, I think Ellie Sattler, was very much the same. She's smart, but she's a paleontologist who just found out dinosaurs are real. I think she was allowed to be as scared as she was.
Yeah.
I think the three main women characters in the Jurassic films have been pretty equal in how they've done them. Like, I think they've done them very purposefully the way they have. Yeah.
I love the acting from Jeff Goldblum and Eddie, played by Richard Skiff, and Kelly, Vanessa Chester. Like when they're all in the hide and they hear the T-Rex and they're all looking in the distance, and when Malcolm asks for the phone, Eddie gives it to him, but they're all like still looking in the distance, and I found that quite funny that they don't even dare look away from the sound, where the sound came from. I just thought that was quite a nice comedy bit from the acting of those actors. Like, we're not looking away. Yeah, you have the phone.
Yeah.
That was fun. I love how this film makes Ludlow such a hateful corporate character. About halfway through, he's trying to encourage his men to get going, saying, "Come on, up, let's go, let's keep going." Then Nick, who they've just met and part of the rival team, just says, "Come on, guys," very nonchalantly.
Yeah, he's like, "Let's get the hell out of here."
And they all get up and they won't even respond to the corporate leader. Love it. I just found that was a great little scene there.
I like that bit too, yeah.
He does play a very kind of weaselly, again, like almost like he's lived behind a desk his whole life, and just so like non-socially calibrated, and just kind of a dick, And I think he's done so well, and I do love it when everything like collapses around him. The T-Rex is gone, and they're trying to, and he's just completely inconsolable. It's just like, where's the T-Rex? In a secure facility. He's just like completely out of it. And I kind of like that sort of because he's just this arrogant Weasley fucker, and now he's just like so defeated. And I think he does that well as well. He's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So he was pretty believable.
Yeah, he definitely plays it like a great corporate villain character that you love to hate. You love to hate this guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think Vince Vaughn is Vince Vaughn. I don't think he's.
He is definitely Vince Vaughn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you describe his acting. Is Vince Vaughn plays Vince Vaughn in everything he does.
Yeah.
But he's funny. And I think Jeff Goldblum is just so eccentric in real life that it really like translates into his character of Dr. Malcolm in a good way.
I'm not sure some of his acting's like action stuff is the best. When like during the Raptor stuff when he's running, it does look like he's bumbling about a little bit, but I'd rather him his bumbliness come through in a lot of the other scenes. So
I just like basically any scene where he's just talking and just lets out witticisms or like weird noises and all this shit. Just does all of his Goldblum and his isms.
So good.
Nobody can be Goldblum but Goldblum.
That's it.
Favorite performance, Killian? What are you going for?
The baby T-Rex.
Wow. I don't think we've had anybody pick an animatronic before.
I will pick the animatronic and the person that programmed the animatronic. Yeah. I don't know. I think just as an ensemble, the three main, Jeff Goldblum, Vince Vaughn, and Julianne together, I think they were really worked really well together.
I think I would give it to Julianne Moore.
For me, I think I'm going to go with Pete Postlethwaite. So I think he just brings some great aggressive humor and dry humor. And I think Spielberg actually talked to him like he was probably one of the best actors he's ever worked with, which is kind of really interesting. Yeah, he just brings I can't really not sure how to describe it, but he just brings a quality that's just really good. Yeah. He's just really good in everything he does, but in this he's just you just don't mess with this guy. Exactly. You just get this sense that you cannot cross him at all.
It's just a sense of authority. Yeah. Just he just walks in, he commands the room. Yeah. He doesn't have to say anything. He's in charge.
Acting score, Killian, what are you going for?
I'll give it an 8.
Baz, what are we going for? 8.3?
All right.
8.2?
8.2, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you got to love a bit of Jeff Goldblum as well, which basically automatically puts it up as an 8 if you've got Jeff Goldblum in your film, frankly.
Yeah.
Right, let's add up the scores then for The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Still feels weird saying it that way around, but there we go.
Drum roll.
Have you heard that Jeff Goldblum quote where he was asked, he goes, a lot of people approach me and they ask, is it pronounced Jeff Goldblum or Jeff Goldblum? And I respond the same way. How dare you think you can come up to me and talk to me? He's obviously joking, but he's a great guy.
He's great. I love him.
So The Lost World, Jurassic Park gets 49.1. So it definitely wins this week over Dinosaur that got 45.5.
That's still pretty good. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say it's still pretty good. It's very much a product of its time and very much an experiment for Disney. Still very enjoyable and just really interesting to watch, actually, now. So in terms of that, it's a really great pick, actually, Killian. Thank you for that.
Very welcome.
You have been amazing on the pod. Thank you very much for coming on. Is there anything else you want to plug, your podcast? Or where can we find you? On Instagram, Twitters, and all that?
You can find me at the Antnorak Oasis Pod on Instagram, and there's a link in the bio there where you can find me everywhere else. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Hope you've had a good time.
I have. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah, been good. Yeah. Next week, as Pixar is releasing another movie, we are very excited for this one. It is Lightyear with Chris Evans. And of course, we'll be talking Pixar films 2, the sequel. Mainly because we've done Pixar films already, but because we love them, we're doing another episode.
Yeah, that was a long, long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was ages ago.
Again, thank you, Killian. You've been amazing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye, Boaz. Thankfully, you were not used as dinosaur food. You were not needed. It's fine. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.